I know this can be a challenging time in the semester, and I really appreciate and want to applaud you guys for being aware that maybe things aren't as smooth as you'd like them to go, and that you're reaching out and trying to utilize your resources. I think that's, the first step and can be really important. As we talked about, it's going to be recorded. So, if you feel like you need to revisit any of this information, you'll be able to rewatch it. We're going to start a little bit with how to get caught up and how to get in a better place. We're also going to end with some information on Blackboard and navigating Blackboard, because we do know that sometimes that specifically is a challenge that's holding people back. I also have a couple pieces of information that I'm going to use here. I guess I'm going to do a PowerPoint. I'm doing something a little different. You'll be able to access them on Blackboard as well. So if you want to look at them, then you'll be able to kind of have access to that too. So feel free if you want to jump in. If you have specific questions, we can always do that. If you want to put them in the chat, I know Sarah and Zara will probably be helping me man the chat as well. I'm not great at talking and reading at the same time. But yeah, so let's jump in. There's a lot of different reasons why this time of the semester can be really hard. There can be a lot of different challenges. And I'm always welcome to talk, or I'm willing to talk with you guys one-on-one about any of the struggles that you're having right now. Today, we're going to focus on kind of what to do if you've fallen behind. It's challenging, especially I think because once you get behind, if you're not careful, you just perpetually will get further and further behind. You feel more and more overwhelmed. And it can be such a big struggle. But typically with most classes at this point, you can still get caught up. And so somebody give me a nod or a thumbs up. You guys can see my cute little flow chart here, right? Yeah, okay, perfect. So instead of a PowerPoint, I wanted to start with this. So thank you. Starting off with thinking about each course individually. You might be behind in one or two courses, you can be behind in every course, but you're gonna think about each one individually to make your plan. So are you behind in this course? If not, congratulations, you don't have to worry about it. So that's our little guy with the thumbs up. Yes. So if you are behind in a particular course, the next step is going to be thinking about, can you still pass or not? Like we said, probably at this point you can, but I wanted this to be a chart that you could kind of use at any point in the semester. If the answer is no, mathematically, it's not possible. Maybe your professor doesn't accept any late work. Maybe you are 3 weeks from the end of the semester. Maybe we're talking about your cycle 1 class. If you're not able to pass, go to your advisor for whether it's Visions or RX, and they can help chat through what are the options. Do you need to repeat it? Is withdrawal a possibility? They can talk about all those details. We're not chatting too much about that, but I want you to know if you really don't think that it's possible, reach out and talk to somebody. I think we all really pride ourselves on this being judgment-free zone, right? Something happened, you get sick, you just gave up, you were overwhelmed, whatever it is, just come talk to us. We're not going to pass any judgment. We just want to help you make the best of the situation that we can. So yes, if you can still pass, or if you are unsure, we're going to next recommend that you chat with your professor. Email's okay. I would love for you to set up a Zoom or at least a phone call. Let's start with unsure. I don't know if I can pass this or not. Part of that might be, looking at the syllabus and see what's the late work policy, what is the percentage of grades that I've missed so far. But it also might be asking them, reaching out and being honest and say, whatever it is that's been going on. And, you've missed a lot of work, but you've been dealing with some stuff. It's worth asking, right? Can I still make up this work? Can I get some percentage of it? Is there something additional extra that I can do to make up the points? And just having that conversation. And I emphasized the being honest about what happened. They're real people and they know you're real people. it doesn't hurt to just share with them what's going on. If they don't hear from you, they're going to assume that you just don't care about their class. And that doesn't necessarily build a level of respect and build that relationship. So again, I recommend you reach out and chat with them. Maybe they'll let you make up work, maybe they won't, but it never hurts to ask. If there is anything that you need from them, go ahead and ask that in the meeting. Do you think it would be helpful to have office hours once a week? Is there a past exam that you didn't do well on and maybe you want to chat through that with them? Whatever it is that you need from them, again, it doesn't hurt to ask and see where you guys can meet in the middle. Maybe the syllabus is not as clear as you would like, and maybe there are a few things that you need clarification on. You didn't necessarily understand how the discussion board worked, clarifying that with them in that meeting and figuring out what your plan will be going forward. And finally, kind of touched on this, but if there isn't already a late work policy listed, you can definitely ask them about that and ask if it's worthwhile turning in those past assignments. If they're not going to accept them, you're better off to put your time somewhere else, correct? Right? If you've missed maybe 3 things and maybe that's only 1/3 of what you've missed, you might just take the zeros on that and go, move forward. We're going to talk a little bit more about what you need to do on your side, but definitely confirming that they'll be those assignments will be accepted. I don't want to see you putting time into things that are not necessarily your best next steps. If after talking to the professor, again, it's too late in the semester and you're just not going to be able to turn things around, that's okay. Go back to your visions or your RX advisor and have a chat with them and see what your next step should be. I want to talk a little bit about what you can do if you do have enough time to turn the class around. Do we have any specific questions or things we want to go over before I continue? I want to give you guys a quick minute. Anything popping up in the chat? Okay. It was an excuse. I really just needed a drink. Yes, let's say we can turn this class around. There's enough time. What do you need to do? And that's kind of that next steps bubble that you'll see. But I also broke it down into a bulleted kind of to-do list. Are you guys seeing that bulleted to-do list now? Okay, perfect. And again, this will be available to you if it is helpful to print and look at it. So we need to figure out what are our steps. So again, it just starts with, if you're not able to turn around, seek advising. That step that we just discussed about talking to your professor, being honest with them and letting them know what you need. But here's where it starts to kind of be on your shoulders a little bit more. We need to think about what the problem really was and identify how we're going to challenge those problems, how we're going to make resolutions for those. It depends, right? Is there something real that's a hurdle in your life? Are you now parenting children that are doing their classwork from home? Are you now working more hours than you've ever worked before? Is there a real life solution, or a real life problem that's really causing you to be behind? And those solutions don't come as easily, right? You can't move school to be in person if your kids are online. You might not be able to cut hours because you have those bills to pay. If it's a tough situation like that, it might be worth having a one-on-one conversation with an advisor, or it might be just looking at what else in my life can I cut back on right now. It might not be ideal, but what temporary sacrifices can I make? Also, if you have the luxury, what can I do to make my life easier? Or who can I call on? Who can support me? Is there another family that you can partner with every other day and do, virtual learning alongside another family? If it's just cooking meals and taking care of yourself and your house and things like that, can you partner with a friend to do meal prep together, to cut one thing off of your plate? You guys get together, cook a bunch of meals for the week, and then you're not cooking it. you know, I won't go too much into this. Again, we could resolve, there's so many different problems that we can work on resolving. But if there's a real hurdle, sitting down with somebody you trust and talk about how we can resolve that. If you're getting distracted by less important tasks, and that can be worthwhile, but less important, as in, well, I'll do absolutely anything before doing my schoolwork. I will do the laundry, I will vacuum, I will do all of these things. Or it can be as simple as video games, personal hobbies, just things like that. If that's what is preventing you, you know, good old procrastination, I'm going to recommend that you do some time management. And we do have a whole other workshop on that, but that's when I'm going to ask you to break down, what do you want your week to look like? When is the time for you to be focused on you and, you know, your personal needs and wellness? I don't at all think that that stuff is not important. I do want everyone right now to be taking care of themselves and to do something that, not to sound cheesy, but, you know, something that brings you joy, something that brings you some peace, you know, fun, enjoyment, whatever. But we might need some structure in our lives. Right now, if we are not going to work, if we're not having our commute, those, you know, in-person classes, things that gave our day structure and meaning. I joke, we're all just giant toddlers and we all need to parent ourselves, right? We need to give ourselves structure and we need to reward ourselves. And so, yeah, it might be making a calendar of what you want your weekdays to look like and trying to hold yourself accountable to that. Again, there's a whole other workshop recorded on that. I'm happy to meet with people and talk about their structure. So again, that's another challenge we might have to tackle. Are you being realistic with your time? Are you setting enough time aside for each task? Are you being realistic about when you do your best work? I was just talking to a couple of students how I think our society puts this weird pressure that mornings are better. Like you're just a better person if you can get at 6 a.m. and get stuff done. If you work really great from like 11 p.m. to 2, you know, 2 in the morning, good for you, right? Like if you sleep till noon, as long as it's not causing you other problems in your life and you're not able to attend work. But if you really do your best work later in the evening, that's okay to embrace that. As somebody who is married to a night shift worker and who functions great at night and gets, you know, work done that way, I just want to say, don't let society say that you have to be an early bird to be a productive, you know, person in our society. So yeah, being realistic, when are you doing your best work? And then kind of, we talked about this, but mapping your time out so you know what's supposed to be done and when. Not only will that help you stay on track, but I do think it allows you to enjoy your free time. If you see on your calendar that, you know, Fridays, I don't know, 5 p.m. to whenever is your time to do what you enjoy, I feel like you can actually enjoy it because you know that's been scheduled for you. And if you're not rejuvenating yourself, it does just play into this spiral of being behind and overwhelmed and anxious, and it's just not good for you. So quick recap, obviously there's many more specific problems that could be going on. That's just a sample, but your first step is to really think about what is keeping you from reaching this goal and tackle that. The next big thing that I really want to emphasize, and I see where people get this, but I think it's actually the downfall, make keeping up with current work or new work the priority. It is so tempting to start from the beginning. All right, let's say we're on chapter 5 in this fictional class we're all in together. Class is on chapter 5 and you are behind on most of the work, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is so tempting to start with chapter 1 and to be focusing on getting that other work done. Couple things. You will actually feel more rewarded if you are able to participate in chapter 5 and chapter 6 and chapter 7 and be involved with your class discussion. You know what's on the exam. We don't want to call chapters 1 through 4 a loss and completely ignore them. But assuming you've already lost points, even if you are still able to get some credit for that work, you might have late points taken off. So you know what, 1 through 4, we've already lost 15% of our grade. I want you to get full credit chapters 5 and through the end. And again, I think the biggest part is just the satisfaction of knowing you're on top of things, you're with your class, you know what's going on, and going from there. So that's another big tip that I have. So then let's talk about that late work, those past assignments. We're assuming that you can get some sort of credit for them, whether it's what's on the syllabus or whether you've worked out some extensions, whatever it may be. But the work's going to be accepted. I really recommend using some sort of calendar or planner. Even though I really enjoy planners and agendas, I almost think when you're behind, sometimes it's nice to print 2 full weeks and say, okay, in these 2 weeks, I want to catch up on everything. And so again, using my example, so we have our planner and we're going to do chapters 5 and whatever going forward. But let's break down on this calendar, what do I need to do every day to make up those past 4 chapters? Give it to yourself, not as a big general to-do list, but very specific tasks each day. If you need to read a chapter and write a summary, can you do them in the same day? Or maybe Monday you're going to read the chapter, Tuesday you're going to do the summary, whatever it is, but you're plotting those tasks out so that you can show yourself in a visual form that it's possible. If you look at that giant to-do list of missing assignments, you're probably going to just say that it's not possible and you're going to throw it out the window. So not only is it an organizational tool, but you're showing yourself by putting in that extra maybe hour each day, it's possible. I can catch up. It's also nice to be able to share that calendar with the professor. And you can say, this is my plan to catch up. So when they're like, well, where's your work? It's been a week and a half. This is what I'm doing. This is my goal at the end of every day or every week. This is what I'm hoping to have done for you. And again, I think it shows that level of commitment, the level of thought. And I think your faculty are going to look at that and say, yep, that's a realistic plan. And they really do care about this class and they really do have a plan to complete it. It just shows them that it really is a priority to you. Are things making sense? Questions? Okay, I'm just trying to pause because I know I go quickly. Next, I want to quickly just chat about hand in something rather than nothing. This can be really hard for perfectionists, and I totally relate to this, right? I've had so many people who, whether it's because they didn't have the emotional energy, maybe somebody suffering with depression, they did an assignment and it's just not what they wanted it to be. Maybe there was work-related things, they didn't have enough time. Maybe for whatever reason, you're just halfway done with the assignment. Mathematically, I would rather you turn in half an assignment and get a 50 than get a 0. Couple reasons on that. First of all, I think faculty are more likely to let you edit a half-done assignment and get a little extra credit. Maybe you got the 50, you know what, give me the rest of it and I'll let you get up to a 70. Rather than if you hand in nothing, they're probably just gonna not take it. If there's somebody that doesn't accept late work. But also just mathematically, the 50 will bring down your statistical average a lot less than that 0 will. I'm not a stats teacher, but hoping, you guys know the basic of averages and how that happens. It can be really hard. One way to combat that is if you need to follow it up with an email, that's fine. You hand it in on Blackboard and you follow it up with an email that just says, I'm so sorry, this is not my best work. This is not a reflection on me, but I wanted you to have something. If that helps lessen it for you, you can do that. I don't know, I'm a perfectionist. I know it helps me to just acknowledge that it's not what I wanted it to be, but it's what I have. So again, not something that comes naturally, but something that will help you save your grade. This is the obvious part, but I did want to emphasize, utilizing the resources available to you. You guys are all doing the first step. You're here, you're willing to maybe admit that things aren't as smooth as you'd like. It can be really difficult. But thinking about what resources, whether it's tutoring, whether it's your advisor with the program, whether it's instructor office hours, study groups, there's a lot of different resources out there. You guys know what they are. Obviously, it all depends on, you know, what kind of class we're talking about. Is it an art class? Is it a math class? Utilizing those resources to help you. And if you don't know what they are, again, start with Visions or RX. Talk about what we can do for you, what's out there, what the school has. I'll just emphasize that the President of the United States, not anyone in particular, but just that position, they're not expected to know everything. They don't do that role independently, right? No matter who we're talking about, they have just experts at their disposal to help them with anything. You know, they have people on the ready, on their speed dial to ask about any sort of subject area. And so please don't ever feel less of a college appropriate person, or less of a student, less of a, I don't know. Anybody who is successful in the world utilizes what they have. And so, you know, I don't know, I guess I'm losing my words, but it's definitely okay to ask for help and utilize that support. That's why you're here. That's why you're in the program. And so just to wrap it up, again, we want to prevent you from falling behind in general, further behind. Again, I won't go too much into this because proactively planning your semester, the other workshop that's recorded, this is what we talk about there. But I'll just summarize by saying that I believe time management and assignment management are two separate tasks, and you need to do them both equally well to be really successful. That time management is thinking about, what do I do with the hours in my day? Where does my time go? And then my assignment management are, what are the tasks that I have on my plate? So when my time management says, okay, it's time to study for math, my planner then tells me what is the task that I'm working on during that period of time. I know some people have success with that in the short term. I really do recommend mapping out a whole semester at a time. It just will show you the ebbs and flows of your semester, and really help you not let those busy times sneak up on you. If you haven't figured it out yet, you'll have points in the semester where you swear that your faculty teamed up and, you know, planned everything on the same day. I promise they really don't, but it feels like they did. And I think those are the times that we sometimes get behind and overwhelmed, and when these things start. And so if you can kind of be a week ahead and say, oof, next week's going to be really busy. What can I do for myself? Give myself or my future self a break. Whether it's academically what I can do, or whether it's, you know, can I call in a family member to help me? Can I do that meal prep? Whatever it is that will take one thing off your plate that really busy week, that might help you from getting into this kind of spiraling out of control and getting really behind and getting really in a difficult place to get caught up. I hope these tips were what you were hoping to have, what you were hoping to come for. I do want to give a few minutes if anybody has specific questions or specific issues. These materials will be shared with you. And then after that, Sarah's going to talk a little bit again about the technology piece. So I'll stop my share. Or even if people are willing to share what has been giving them trouble, I'd love to hear that. That's okay. I don't want to put anyone on the spot.
I think, yeah.
Okay. Well, you are welcome to email me later if you want to set up a one-on-one. I'm happy to do that. But go ahead, Sarah.
All right. So I'm going to do a little bit of technology. Just like Lauren, I'm doing absolutely an overview here. If you have a lot of questions, if you have specific questions, I'm happy to do a one-on-one and figure out what you're having trouble with. But I wanted to jump in and do a little bit of Blackboard and a little bit of just iConnect with the Mount, because I know when you're fully online, it can be helpful to have someone kind of walk you through. So I'm in Blackboard now, and I believe that's what I'm sharing with you. So first, I just kind of want to show you my homepage. And the simplest thing here, guys, that you may or may not know is you can reorganize this however you want to see it, however is going to work for you. I personally always think putting your courses right up at the top and center is the best way to do it. And then move through the rest of these and put them wherever you find them really useful. One of my words of caution is some of these tools are really, really useful depending on how your individual professors are using their online courses. So you might get outside of your classes over here on what's new information about announcements or assignments that are due or tests that are coming up, or you can get alerts about things that are late or things, you know, little notifications like that. But it depends on how that professor set up the course. If you are handing in sort of triggered assignments directly in Blackboard in a class, you will probably get the alerts and announcements coming up separate from your class. And I know a lot of students who like to rely just on the alerts and the announcements to help guide them through their classes. But there are absolutely classes where you're only submitting work via email, or maybe you're doing a lot of work in a My Math lab or My Stat lab, and it's not triggering through Blackboard when things are due. And in those classes, you're not going to get alerts. So my number one piece of advice is to always be clicking individually into my courses and looking at them one by one and assessing what to do every single week on an individual basis. Now, to make this function for you, you do have some ability to customize it. You have a little settings bar here, and you can start to customize a little bit. Not going to get into that right now. The biggest thing I want you to kind of be able to distinguish, especially if you're not brand new and you're starting to see semesters stack up, my courses are sorted by term. So I can see a whole bunch of courses from a bunch of different terms. And I know I have questions every semester of why are my old courses still showing up? Do I still have work to do? You don't. And you can hide those. So you're only focusing on what's due this semester. So every individual class is going to be different. I'll show you our FYE class. And I'll put it on a student view. So it'll be similar to what you might see. Every class, again, is going to be different, and they're going to have, you know, slightly different things on this toolbar here, but this toolbar is your guide. Some classes will have almost nothing for announcements. Some will live and die with announcements. So that's going to be every individual class. Every class will have a syllabus posted. So you always want to be sure that you click on that, that you download it, and that you are using that like it is the most important thing, because that really is your contract. And that should be your guide through most of the semester. And a lot of times questions that you have about where am I supposed to submit this assignment or what am I supposed to be doing here will be answered in the syllabus, and it's just right there for you. You just have to find it over on this toolbar. Again, every class is going to be different. A lot of classes will make use of a discussion board. Some classes will have separate pieces of course content that will say assignments or assessments or different things. Or some will even break down on the side here, week 1, week 2, week 3, and you can just click through every individual week. Some, like ours, will just have course content a little bit more lumped together, information about how to get in touch with somebody, some basics. A lot of classes will have like a start here under course content, and you can get a lot of your questions answered. You might be catching the drift by now that there is no set formula. So every class is going to be different, and it really is up to you to get in and click around in that Blackboard and see exactly what's there. So here you can see a week and work that needs doing, videos to watch. Every Blackboard's going to be different. You might have videos to watch right on the screen. You might get links to other places. You might have documents to download and work through. Everything is going to depend on that faculty member, but it's all found through some really basic clicks if you know that you need to rely on this side menu here. Want to pull back out and show, I know there's a better way to do this.
And Sarah, you know, just kind of going back to, we were saying it's okay to reach out to your professor.
Yes.
If there's something going on, assignment you need, but you're confused on how to find it, it's absolutely okay to ask, will you Zoom with me and show me where some of the things are in your Blackboard course? If you're really struggling, I'm guaranteed the faculty would rather you ask for a 15-minute tour than have you just not completing work.
Absolutely. And I think one of the other things is, if you're going to do that, please read the syllabus first and find out what their preferred method of being contacted is. You want to start off on that right foot. If even this is a little bit like, I'm not sure what to do, if you scroll down in Blackboard, I don't think many people know this, there's on-demand help. And you can visit Blackboard Help for students, watch helpful how-to videos, and I already have those pulled up. And so you can see there's tons and tons of information here. I am not going to go through all of it. I just want you all to have the tool and know that if you are looking around on your Blackboard, there is help for students. You can get how-to videos. It'll break down from common issues, popular pages. There are some new guides. So how to check your grades, how to take a test, help with Safe Assign. Lauren, I don't know about you, but I get questions about Safe Assign every semester. So you have a lot of tools at your disposal that you can watch these videos and go through these tools 24 hours a day. And I know a lot of students, it seems like right now, are on a different time zone from us. So if you can't or aren't available during an 8 to 4 time spot to get some help, but you have a quick question, these tools might be a really, really great fit. If your questions are about more than just Blackboard, in Blackboard, you should have an area that says no term assigned, and you'll have some different tools in there. Online Learning 101 is one of these. And this is just like a class, but you'll notice there's how to be an online student success tips. There are links to Blackboard guides that are different than the ones I just showed you. So maybe you have different questions. Computer basics. So if you're like, I just not really tech savvy, this is all a struggle, you might come and look at PC or Mac tips, and this will link you to a bunch of Who Knew It videos on everything from like how to double click up to much more advanced things and saving different types of files and doing all kinds of things. So these tools are all in there. This is all Blackboard. Again, this is a real overview. I just want you to see that these things do exist. And if you have more specific questions, either ask them in the chat or we can set up a time one-on-one to do more of that.
Sarah, one quick thing that I'm going to emphasize on Blackboard just before you switch over.
Yeah.
So if your professor, instructor does grade mostly based on Blackboard, and that's how you're submitting a lot of assignments, if you go to My Grades and then select All, it will show you what of your assignments you've turned in, what have been graded, what you've turned in or pending, and what assignments you're missing. So it's just another way of, oh, I do know I missed some things and I'm trying to remember what I missed so I know what to make up, or just to even give yourself that security. Have I done everything I'm supposed to? It won't work for every class. If they're using other sort of grading methods, if they're using My Math Lab, then you'd have to look separately, but My Grades and then selecting All or really Blackboard based classes might help you.
Absolutely. Now I just want to kind of quickly walk through some iConnect stuff that I think gets sort of underutilized, and these can be really great links to make you feel a little bit more connected. if you're feeling disconnected. So from your iConnect homepage, this will hopefully look all pretty familiar. But one of the things that is really worth noting are under links of interest. You might have classes that are requiring you to turn things in a Microsoft Office format that's a .docx or something like that, or even requiring you to work in Microsoft. If you then don't have the Office suite, then that makes things really difficult. Just want to show you can download Office 365 to your computer from right here. So that might help you if you're feeling like I can't save my work or do my work the right way because I don't have the right tool and I'm just using my, Google Docs or something right now. Another good tool is up here in these tabs is Campus Life and Support Services. There's lots of really good stuff here. Links to the bookstore, links to tutoring. So Lauren already talked about tutoring through visions and writing and math. But maybe you're struggling in a CIS course or a chemistry course or some other subject that we can't directly support through TRIO. You can find tutoring through the Academic Support Center, and this is a good link there. You can also see lots and lots of other links here. The one that I really want to take a second to highlight is the library. So I already have that pulled up so we don't have to wait for it to load. You can use the library for materials, but what's really handy are maybe you're struggling with research right now. So there's a research skills MOOC, but there are also research guides for your classes. So you can click here and you can see all of these courses that have research guides already built for them. You can connect with research librarians. You can get all kinds of help. And if there's one website that I find underutilized at Mount Wachusett, it is absolutely the library website. So all of this help is available. It can look like a lot to navigate, and it might be, and it might not be relevant to your current courses, but it's a really, really great tool. There are lots of guides, lots of different ways you can get help. Obviously this semester, the library is not what it might be all of the time, but so many tools in 2020 are web-based. So make sure that you are not letting this tool go underutilized. Other campus life or support services that might be interesting to you, lots of career services. So if you're sitting here struggling in all your classes and wondering if I'm in the right major, maybe you want to do some career exploration, and there are tools right at your fingertips for free to help you walk through some of this stuff. So that's really my piece in a nutshell. Before I stop sharing, just so if someone does have something they want to see, does anyone have any questions about iConnect or Blackboard or any of those real basics that you want answered now? I think I'm also getting crickets. So I will stop the share. I think that's all I have. Lauren, I don't know about you.
I think we're good. We'll stop recording. Thanks everybody for coming today. I appreciate you guys giving us your time.